How y'all doing today? My name's Tim and I entitled this video Oil Painting Tips and Glazing for Amateurs because basically you could spend a lifetime learning about oil painting and there's so much that I don't know, and I'll start that off just with that. But the things I have found out just being an amateur that really seemed to work well for me is something that I just thought I'd share. And I have no affiliation with any products, and I might show you some products. Well, I intend to show you some products, but I have no affiliation with them. I don't make any money off them or anything, and I'm sure there might be even better products that maybe some of you could even share with me. Well, anyway, to get started, I was going to talk about glazing, and one of the things that I really love about glazing is the fact that you can really build up your colors, and it gives you such a different effect. There's a lot of different ways to go about working with oils. You know, there's wet on wet, there's, you know, strictly straight out of the tube, very little mixing, whatever. The one I've really found that really helps expand your color palette, expand your painting depth, is really easy to work with, and gets the results that I'm really after is glazing. And there's different ways to go about glazing. The one that I like is really to lay down a background painting, and it could be a black and white, it could be a sepia tone, it could be a full color background painting, and then letting that dry or set up, and then going over it with another glaze, which is a transparent, you know, mixture of glaze and paint that allows the background to kind of come through and adds a layer of color on top of that. So you really get the kind of the same effect you would get with watercolors, where the light penetrates the, you know, the color and bounces off whatever the background is, and it really can bring out the depth and warmth and color in your paintings. And so that's one of the things I started with. This is, let me move over here and out of the way a little bit. The road on this painting was originally just a gray, like, I put in my shadows and everything, but in all tones of gray. And then I mixed up a glazing of yellow ochre, a burnt sienna, and a little tiny bit of burnt umber, and came back through and laid down the glazing on the road to give it like a warm dirt road path, worn out road path that I was going for, with the sunlight really, you know, you get that effect way better when you use glazing. And I also use quite a bit of glazing on the house for the shadows and the trees and stuff like that. And one of the things I found as far as like the tips I was going to show you in problem, artist painting medium. Let me see if I can get a close-up on that for you. It's called artist painting medium. Maybe this would work. But anyway, I found this that really works the best for me. It really seems to have a thicker base to it, and it really holds the color uniformly. If you really want to put down just a uniform glaze where everything has like almost the same value and there isn't any running or streaking, I would definitely recommend, you know, artist painting medium. Now the one that I bought and I tried, and it's actually labeled blending and glazing medium, which hopefully you get a close-up of that. It works, don't get me wrong, but it really has a thinner base to it, and it dries much quicker, which is something that, you know, can come in handy, but it really is a lot more difficult to work with. It seems to bunch up and run a little bit more than the artist medium does. As far as another tip I would give you, as far as just something that I've come across as far as being an amateur painter, is for affordability factor. There's like tons of different brush holders out there I was looking at, but I bought this, I guess it's like a plant ring or something. Well, I bought it at the dollar store, and it really holds your brushes really nicely, and it cost $1. And right off the bat you can glance and just tell where your brushes are at, and they dry nicely there. And so that was just a real quick tip on that. Might come in handy. One other thing is I definitely would invest in one of these things. I don't know, a cleaning pail or whatever. I bought this quite a few years ago and I haven't used it in forever. But it has this like little screen in it, and the paint kind of like flows through once you clean your brush and sits at the bottom. So your terpenoid or whatever really remains fairly clean on top. And I don't know what they run nowadays, but I'm sure it can't be all that expensive. It's worth investing in. What I'm going to show you is basically how I mixed up the glazing for the road, and I'll lay in some stills and let you see exactly how I went through that process. For this glaze I'm going to be using a little bit of tiniest bit of burnt umber and phthalo blue or phthalo blue, depending on which part of the country you're in, I guess, whether it's phthalo or phthalo. And then the painting medium, again, the artist painting medium. For this, I'm going to be using this to make a glaze for kind of like the shadow of the leaves on one of the roofs. And so basically I just pour that should be enough for what I want to accomplish, because I'm not really not going to be doing that much. And then as far as a brush, I'm going to just be using like a round, and basically I just rinse just a little bit in the turpentine. And for this I kind of want it to be a gray, so I'm just going to mix in, hopefully you can see this here. Let's see if this is bluish gray, and I'm using, like I said, burnt umber and phthalo blue. So then I have my painter's medium down in here, and this whole part of the plate's covered with it too. So I'm going to start rubbing it into here, and I can see the consistency I have by coming over here and kind of testing it. And I think I'm going to add just a touch more blue and a touch more both. Come back through here. Okay, and that's about the consistency I like it. Right in here. And so I'm just going to come through and basically just start adding in. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but it's fairly light. And I'm just going to be dabbing them in. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that well, but it's a very light. The shadows are coming down. Just basically leaves. And if you're not going to be able to see this, I know I can just really take a still of it in a better light. And you'll be able to see exactly what I'm accomplishing. Do it all at once, the full, strength of the glaze. You can come back through and add more if you want to later. Well, anyway, I'll show you how the finished results are in my next video. Later.